Alright guys, welcome back to round 6 from the Des Plaines, Illinois City Championship. And this round, this will be the second to last round. We'll have one more after this. We'll have undefeated Matt Moss versus undefeated Austin Reed. Matt, we just featured him in the previous round. He won, I want to say, a fairly dominant victory over Joe Baca, but Joe definitely had a shot to win still. So we'll see if Matt keeps rolling or if Austin will stop him in his tracks. Another good player who I've played against a couple times. This should be an exciting matchup. I don't actually know what Austin is playing, but we will find out right now. Maybe not right now. They are setting up still, but we'll find out probably in like a minute. Okay. So we know Moss is just playing the straight Darkrai deck. We know that much. Austin, I don't know. We'll find out. I've heard he's playing an electric deck. I wouldn't be surprised if he changed into something different. But we're going to get started here. Now, like I've said before, Matt is a player who's actually, he was raised in Michigan. That's where he's from. He actually moved to New York, and now he's here for the Chicago Marathon. So basically traveled from New York to Chicago for this week of Pokemon tournaments. Austin, he's actually from Ohio, so also quite a bit of a drive from Ohio to Chicago for this whole marathon. But these guys are dedicated. They're both looking to have some fun here, play some Pokemon, win some tournaments, and they're both great players. It's great to see Matt, on top of his game again. He is an old school player who's just kind of getting back into things. Austin's a player who plays consistently every year. Always does pretty well. He's not really had a breakout win, but we'll see. Maybe today is his day. And yes, Matt did get his catcher back. He accidentally slammed it on Joe's board for the win last game, and Joe picked it up instead of Matt. But I told Matt hunted Joe down and got it back his catcher. So he needs that one. That's his award-winning. That's like his prize catcher. It's the winner. Alright, so we're just having some announcements here from our tournament organizer, Jimmy Ballard. If you guys don't know about Jimmy, he's one of the game's legendary players. He took second at Worlds in 2006, one of the most creative deck builders in the history of the game. And he also runs a store called Top Cut Comics, which he has a website and online store, so I'd encourage you guys to check that out. I think it's topcutcomics.com. Probably shouldn't just link you to a random site, but I think that's what it is. And yeah, definitely support Jimmy if you can. He's doing a lot for the community, and he's the one running this event here today. So a big shout out to him. He runs very, very efficient tournaments. We'll probably be done with his whole tournament by like 6 or 7 o'clock, which is insane for having 100 Masters, 7 rounds in a top 8, when a lot of places don't get done until midnight. We'll be done 5-6 hours earlier than that. So let's see. All right, round number 6 happening here. Moss will go first. A Sableye versus a Mewtwo. So this would go along with the electric theory I had for Austin, but we'll see. Moss will be going first with the Sableye. He also has an Ultra Ball. Can't see if he has a supporter or not. I actually don't see one. Maybe the last card is a support, I don't know. But he's going to Ultra Ball. You at least want to grab another Pokemon here. And he's going to get rid of another Ultra Ball and a Sableye. Huh. So obviously he's going to grab a Darkrai with this. He's going to take a quick look through his deck, see if anything's prized. The first search is always the one where you want to take a look through your deck, see what's in your prize cards, see what you have to work with, and you just don't want to be uninformed as the game goes on. You don't want to be playing an Ultra Ball later and you just need a Darkrai and you're just like, oops, I had 2 prized. Wish I would have known that. You should know that starting from the first turn. So Matt's just gonna take his time. And I would assume he'll take a Darkrai here. Now, interesting thing that I haven't brought up before is Matt does play one Mewtwo EX. It's just the Darkrai deck has no real response to a Keldeo EX with 7 energy on it. That's just knocking out your Darkrai's in one hit. It also has no response to a Mewtwo with like 8 energy knocking out your Darkrai in one hit. So he added a Mewtwo EX. It's good for just, you know, oh, he does a supporter. It's a Juniper. But yeah, it's good for responding to giant attackers that Darkrai really can't deal with. So maybe that'll come into play this game as we see Austin leading off with that Mewtwo. So Moss does Juniper away a Dark Energy, which is huge. You need to get one of those in the discard pile fairly quickly so you can play a Dark Patch and get your energy on a Darkrai as quickly as possible. I don't see a Dark Patch in his hand though, so that's going to make a turn 2 Night Spear especially difficult when you don't even have a Dark Patch turn 1. But still a good start, getting that Dark in the discard pile, getting an energy search, getting an energy so you can use Junk Hunt to get back 2 items here. Puts down a second Darkrai, I don't mind that at all. And attaches to the Sableye. Probably just see him, well, he could either, there's not really much he could get back, honestly. He has energy in his hand already, but he's going to grab Tool Scrapper and Energy Search. I don't mind that. He doesn't know what he's up against. The Tool Scrapper might be a very big deal. And we see a Water Energy in Austin's hand, so it looks like this would be a Blastoise Keldeo deck. And a Level Ball as well, so that's going to confirm my suspicions. It was 50-50 between that and a Ho-Oh deck that was just running 1 Water Energy, but it looks like this is indeed a Blastoise Keldeo deck. So this will be an interesting matchup. This is, a lot of people felt like once Blastoise came out that it just kind of shut Darkrai down. You know, you just get a big Keldeo EX out, you know, maybe play some Super Scoop Ups. There's no way Darkrai can deal with that. But in these past couple days, we've seen people try to challenge that. You know, Darkrai decks have been doing fairly well against the Blastoise Keldeo decks, and well, I guess we'll see what happens here. But one of the things that Jason Kozinski did yesterday and then Matt also did today was adapt to the rise in Blastoise decks, because instead of going for more Eviolites, you know, Matt does have an Eviolite down. I don't think he actually plays very many of those though, maybe like 1 or 2 at most. He actually plays Dark Claws instead, because, you know, the difference between 1 extra energy knocking out your Darkrai with a Keldeo EX is not as big of a deal as if you can Dark Claw and hit a Keldeo for 110, because then it's just 2 Night Spears on the bench, 30 and 30, to knock out another Keldeo EX. And it's also, you can Night Spear for 30 to a Blastoise, and then catch up the Blastoise, Night Spirit for 110 with Dark Claw, and take their Blastoise out of play. So these are all things we have to keep in mind as the game progresses. These little things are what are going to make the difference here with Matt's Darkrai deck against the Blastoise. I think for a while people were not running this Dark Claw in the Darkrai deck, which actually impacts the matchup quite a bit. And I think that's why we've seen the matchup kind of swing the other way a little bit. We've seen Darkrai win more often now. We'll see if Blastoise decks, you know, adapt to this shift in how Darkrai decks are played. Maybe they'll start adding some healing cards to account for that, or you know, maybe something else. Something as simple as Pokemon Center can change everything in the matchup. But for the time being, Darkrai has, you know, kind of regained its edge over Blastoise Keldeo. Now, don't get me wrong, it's still an extremely close matchup no matter what. It's probably about as close as 50-50 as you could get. But these little things impact the matchup. There's just no way to ignore just how important that extra 20 damage from Dark Claw can be. Alright, so Austin's taking quite a bit of a long turn here. He did start with Mewtwo, which he probably does not want to start with. He's going to play a Full Art Bianca for 5, I think. He only has 1 Squirtle in play. Oh, there's a second one, so it's very fortunate for him to draw that second Squirtle. That was pretty nice. Otherwise, it was just, you know, it doesn't look like Matt could get a turn 2 Night Spear, but it actually could happen still. And, alright, Austin just going to rush in with his Keldeo with no energy. And pass. So Blastoise really can't do anything turn 1. Excuse me, that's why we see a lot of people starting to add Tropical Beach to their Blastoise deck. So just on the first turn, since you have nothing else to do, you might as well just draw until you have 7 cards. We didn't see Austin get a Tropical Beach. I don't know if he plays it or if he just didn't have it that turn. But either way, it really weakens your start when you don't have it. And alright, we see a Crushing Hammer from Matt. That is a Tails. Now, Crushing Hammer, it's honestly not that useful in this matchup. Sometimes it can be impactful, you know, if they're an energy short of doing something, like energy short of that monster Keldeo EX from knocking you out in one hit, or an energy short of Secret Sorting. But for the most part, with the amount of energy retrievals, with the high number of energy that Blastoise plays, and the fact that Blastoise can just attach as many water energy as you want every turn, Crushing Hammer is not as effective in this sort of a matchup. But still, it's a card that can make a difference, so having it in your deck isn't the worst thing in the world. We'll see if Matt got anything off of this N. You know, in a perfect world, he would get, you know, a Dark Patch, Energy Switch, and just go for a Night Spear this turn, but maybe he didn't get it. I do see an Energy Switch, but I don't see a Dark Patch. And if that's the case, yep, that's not looking good. You know, he really needs to put on the pressure as early as possible against the Blastoise deck. If you don't get that turn 2 Night Spear just trying to put on pressure immediately, you could really just start to get overwhelmed, because once Blastoise sets up, it is the stronger deck. It does have the better attackers. It will overwhelm you, but if you can beat them to the punch, get a Night Spear before they can get a Secret Sword, then you're in pretty good shape. So see, Matt's going to go for an Energy Search and a Crushing Hammer. Get those back with the Junk Hunt here. I don't mind that play. It's going to... Yep. It's really the only thing you can do. I don't think Confuse Ray for 10 really does anything. Excuse me. Sorry, I'm still getting over being sick. I might cough every once in a while. Hopefully it doesn't get worse as the day goes on. But the 10 damage from Confuser really doesn't lend itself to any important math. Like, it doesn't make any Night Spear knockouts easier. It doesn't set it up where you could do 30 to something and then finish it off with something later. So you're better off just grabbing back some items that are better in the long run for you. But let's see how this goes. We see Austin, he's Ultra Balling away a Skyla, so that's an indication that he does have a rare candy. He's going to be getting a Blastoise out this turn. But will he have the energy to power up a Keldeo and get a Secret Sword? If he can get the Secret Sword this turn and knock out Matt's Sableye, it's not looking good for him. He's going to fall behind really early. He's going to lose his Sableye. He's only got 1 Dark Energy on that bench Darkrai, so he's not even going to be able to Night Spear next turn. There's a rare candy to Blastoise. And Austin discarded a Skyla, so you know he's got like a Juniper in his hand. Or an N. And there's the N. And so he just needs 1 more energy. Or I believe an energy retrieval would work. There is a water in his discard pile already, I think. So it looks very likely that a turn 2 Secret Sword is coming, and Moss is not prepared for this. This is the bad spot you can get in with Darkrai decks. You know, your Sableye goes down, you have to promote a Darkrai with 1 energy. You would like to Dark Patch to the Darkrai that already has the energy, but you can't because it's in the active spot and you need something for your retreat. So you're just kind of stuck where you need like a Dark Patch plus an Energy Switch, or a Dark Patch plus a second Dark Patch in order to get a Night Spear this turn. And there is the energy retrieval. Yep, there is a water in there. So we're just going to see Blastoise using Deluge, attaching a second energy this turn. Keldeo can then rush in to the active spot using its ability and just Secret Sword for 110 damage. And Moss is going to need some sort of response very soon. This can get ugly very quickly. if he doesn't respond to this. Alright, so down goes the Sableye. And what does Moss have to respond to this? If he doesn't even have a Dark Patch this turn, ugh, it's going to be bad. Another thing is the Eviolite really doesn't help you, the one that's on that Darkrai, against Keldeo because it's always going to knock you out in 2 hits, even with the minimum amount of energy. Secret Sword does 110 for 3, which will do 90 to a Darkrai with an Eviolite. So 90 twice knocks you out in 2 hits, even if there's only 3 energy on there. This is why Dark Claw is kind of better against the Keldeo decks, because Eviolite doesn't mess up any of their math, but Dark Claw makes it easier for you to get knockouts that much faster. Okay, so we do have 1 Dark Patch. Let's see if he has... There's a Dark Claw, just talking about. Does he have an Energy Switch or a second Dark Patch? He's going to Catcher up the Blastoise. I actually don't mind this play if you're going to Juniper, which he is playing a Juniper. So he's going to hit the Blastoise for 110 ideally. He just needs an Energy Switch or a Dark Patch, which he does have. There's a second Dark Patch. Gets an energy onto his Darkrai. And just like this, things can start to turn around. We have a Crushing Hammer. And he gets a Tails, so he's 0 for 2 this game. That could be impactful if Austin doesn't have another energy, because he actually did not have another energy. I think he would have probably attached it if he did. But this is a nice move from Matt. If he's gonna Juniper anyway, he might as well just set up this play right now. He's gonna hit Blastoise for 110 damage, and then the Keldeo for 30, I think. I just hope he doesn't hit the Squirtle because, well, that does 0. He could literally take any other Pokemon, and alright, he's gonna choose the Keldeo EX with the energy on it. And Austin's got to be feeling a little, I don't know, a little unsure about his spot now. Yeah, he's still in okay shape. He's got a Blastoise out. He's got all this stuff, but this Blastoise is going to go down. And that Dark Claw is scary. And unless he can knock out this Darkrai in 1 hit, he might be in some trouble. You know, if he can knock out the Darkrai in 1 hit, then he's going to be feeling like he wins the game already, because he probably will. But otherwise, you know, it's getting a little scary. He's going to take the first couple prizes here, but Moss can easily make a comeback. Just, you know, if he takes out the Blastoise and then knocks out a Keldeo with all the energy. But there we have another Blastoise. So that kind of foils that plan. We'll see what else Austin has. Pretty much everything for Austin so far has been perfect. Like, picture perfect, everything so far. Got turn 2 Blastoise with a Secret Sword. Turn 3 gets a second Blastoise. This is all without the help of Tropical Beach. Just everything, and oh, look at that hand. He's got 2 energy retrievals just waiting for the turn that Matt knocks out that Keldeo EX. And it's not looking pretty for Matt. He's supposed to be the fast deck here. He's supposed to be the one who gets the first attack, but Austin is actually the one who attacked him first. So we got a Secret Sword for 110. Now, one thing that's crucial here is Matt cannot afford to miss an energy drop. If he does, he will pretty much just lose. He needs to hit an energy drop every turn from here on out in order to keep up in this race. He needs to have Night Spears every single turn in order to have a shot at this game anymore. And, you know, he's... looks like he's got plenty of energy, but does he have supporters or anything like that? He's going to attach to his other Darkrai without the Eviolite. I think he realizes that he's really going to need Dark Claw this game. So he's going to attach to there instead. And then energy... Okay, just energy switches off of it. He's probably got a Juniper or something. He's going to Catcher the Blastoise again. The other Blastoise this time, and then Bianca for 4. Guess he just wanted an extra card with the Bianca. So I guess his strategy here is just going to be go for the Blastoises. He's targeting down this one. He's going to knock out the other one. I guess he's just going to try to hit Austin before he can just drop all of his energy down. And, you know, he's going to leave Austin with all these energy retrievals in his hand, but he won't be able to deluge and drop them all down. And then eventually Matt just has to knock out, you know, a Keldeo, and he'll end up winning. Seems pretty straightforward. Now the problem for Matt is that there's not a Dark Claw on this bench Darkrai. If he had another Dark Claw, the math would just be fantastic for trying to close this game out. But it is an Eviolite. So what's going to happen is he can hit the Keldeo with 30 on it and just do 90 with a Night Spear. But that doesn't really get him anywhere. I mean, it's still... He kind of wasted that 30 from the Night Spear earlier then. As opposed to, you know, having a Dark Claw would hit it up to 140, and then he could then catch or something else, hit that for a big hit with 110, and then finish off the Keldeo with 140. But now he doesn't really have that option, and it's honestly just like the 30 from the Night Spear is wasted if he does not attack that Keldeo EX with a Dark Claw, or Darkrai with a Dark Claw. Sorry, it's a little complicated. And oh no, there's the Pokemon Center. This is pretty much gonna put this game in the bag, I think, for Austin. So if you don't know what Pokemon Center does, once every turn, you can heal 20 damage from one of your benched Pokemon. And this is specifically for this matchup. This is going to absolutely screw up Matt's math with all these attacks. And I think that's just gonna... That might wrap up the game, honestly. That's a... Like I said earlier, if people just tech something as small as a Pokemon Center, this can completely impact this matchup. And that's exactly what we're seeing here. Now what does Matt do? If he... I mean, he can't knock out the Blastoise this turn unless he catches it. And if he catches it, what does he do? He hits a Keldeo for 30, and then that just heals 20. It's just ugly no matter how you look at it. What he could do is just Night Spear this turn for 90, hit the Blastoise again for 30. He would have to hit it 3 times for 30, I think. So let's see, there's 90 damage on it. If he hits it up to 120, it'll go down to 100. And yeah, it's going to take 3 Night Spears to knock that thing out from the 30 damage part of it. Just not a good situation to be in at all. So, okay, he's just going to catch her up the Blastoise. He's sticking to his strategy. This is not the way he wanted to do it, but that's just what he's presented with right now. He's going to end, cross his fingers, hope things go his way. That's really all he can do. Now, this could be a situation where the Eviolite actually does end up mattering for Matt. Because it'll only do 90, the Secret Sword from Keldeo only does 90, he can actually retreat his Darkrai at some point and use Austin's own Pokemon Center and heal it down to 70, which would require Austin to have another energy to Secret Sword for a knockout. So we could see that coming into play here. It seems a little unlikely, but just something to keep in mind, I guess. Let's see, we do see an energy search. There will be Dark Energy from Matt. I don't know what the decision is there. It's the only type of energy he actually plays in his deck. We're going to see an Ultra Ball as well. Discarding an Ultra Ball and an Enhanced Hammer. And we'll see if he grabs that Mewtwo here. He does play the Mewtwo. That's probably going to be his best bet for coming back in this sort of a match. It looks like he's going for the Darkrai instead. Can't see the Mewtwo's in his deck, but if it were, that would be his one way to go about this. Let's see. Alright, yep, he goes right for the Mewtwo. Now, this is probably a little alarming for Austin. He's like, oh, didn't know if you played that or not. Now I know. But that's going to help Matt a lot in terms of just setting up Keldeos for a knockout. He's going to play Random Receiver as well. This could set up some big stuff in the future. So he's going to knock out the Blastoise. Obviously, he needs to do 30 damage to the Keldeo that already has 30 on it. No use spreading damage around when Pokemon Center's out there. You just kind of need to focus it all on one Pokemon, because it's always just going to get healed. A Keldeo with 40 on it is better than 2 Keldeos with 10 on them most of the time. So now we're in a scrappy game. There are no Blastoises left in Austin's field. And honestly, this could come down to any number of things. It could come down to Crushing Hammer. It could come down to whether or not Austin just has energy every turn. It could come down to if Austin has catchers. Maybe he'll get another Blastoise out. But the fact of the matter is that Pokemon Center is so good with Keldeo's Rush-In that I think just based on what he has in play, he should be able to finish this game out. So we'll see where he attaches this energy. I think he's kind of scared of Matt's Darkrai retreating and then getting a Pokemon Center off. So he might attach a 4th energy to his Keldeo EX. The problem with that is Matt could then have 2 energy switches onto his Mewtwo and then attach a 3rd energy, which would do 140, which is just enough to knock out that Keldeo EX. So is it worth attaching a 4th energy in fear of Crushing Hammer and Matt retreating to use Pokemon Center? It's a tough question. When you don't have Blastoise out, these are tough questions. Looks like the answer is no. He's going to rush in with the Keldeo with 40 on it already. And then, I guess just Secret Sword for 90. And now it's on Matt to do something. Now, unfortunately for Matt, his supporter off that random receiver last turn was an N, which he probably doesn't want right now. He'd rather have a Juniper just to draw into his energy switch. Austin does not have a very good hand. But we shall see how this one turns out. Now, Matt is deciding to attach to his Darkrai. I think he might be better off, honestly, just going with Mewtwo from here. Since it's only going to take 2 energy to attack, you really don't want to attack with the active Darkrai if you don't have to. You would like to retreat it and use Pokemon Center. Heal it off, make it so that the next time Austin attacks it, it won't be knocked out. Because, you know, you have the Eviolite on there. But if he is forced to just Night Spear, it's not a good situation. Austin's just going to rush in with his other Keldeo. And, I mean, he's just going to attack with the fresh one and then start healing the other one with Pokemon Center until Matt can't knock it out with a Night Spear anymore. So this is the bad situation that Pokemon Center puts Darkrai decks into. Just healing 20 damage every turn is such a difference maker. Darkrai decks thrive on those setting up those future knockouts with the 30 damage from Night Spear. And if you take away that option, the deck becomes a lot weaker. Even at the World Championships, we saw Potion being teched in decks just because of how strong it was against Darkrai decks. And this is exactly why Pokemon Center is here. And with the resurgence of Darkrai decks during the Chicago Marathon, I'm not surprised that Austin is 5-0 with this Pokemon Center tech in his Blastoise deck. So we do see an N from Matt. He's going to draw 4 cards. What does he get off of this? In a perfect world, he would retreat and then attack with something else this turn. But this is not always a perfect world. So he's going to random receiver, unfortunately. Doesn't look like he has anything else in his hand. Oh, does he have his supporters left? Okay, there's a Juniper. That might be his last supporter, which could end up being the difference here. So, I don't know. This is going to be really, really tough for Matt. I have a hard time seeing him win this game. And if he has a Dark Patch this turn, it could be life for him yet. But it's going to be very difficult. I do see Dark Patch, so maybe there's hope. He's going to start powering up this other Darkrai. And I also see a catcher in his hand, so he's really got everything he would need to have a shot at this game. So he really has no other option here but to Night Spear the active. Probably hit the other Keldeo EX for 30. I don't see anywhere else you would put the damage for this. But again, Pokemon Center is just it's just ruining Matt's day. Honestly, this is not what you want to run into. All right, there we go. There's 130 on the Keldeo EX, the active one, and then 30 on the benched one. Let's see where Austin goes from here. I mean, honestly, if he can just attach every single turn, he'll probably end up winning. That just seems like the way things are going to go. Just using Secret Sword for 110 every turn, he's going to get the first knockout. With Pokemon Center out there, this is just how it's going to be. He's going to be ahead in the prize exchange, and I don't know if there's anything Matt can do about it. An interesting choice on Austin's side will be, where does he remove his damage from? I think he makes the correct decision, removes it from this other Keldeo. I would assume he'll rush in this turn and just attack with that one, because he doesn't want to give up those two prizes. But we'll see what he decides to do. That actually opens him up for some weird plays, though, involving Dark Claw, now that I'm thinking about it. So maybe he'll just be content to have this Keldeo EX hang to get it knocked out after he knocks out the Darkrai. Just to have another Keldeo that is not damaged very much. He's thinking about it. He also has an energy attachment that he hasn't used yet, so you have to keep that in mind. This is a very tricky situation. You know, you're used to being able to just attach as many energy as you want with Blastoise, but once those get taken out of play, you know, you got to play just like everybody else. You only get to attach one every turn, and all of a sudden things become tougher to decide on. And with Crushing Hammer always looming, these energy attachments can be difficult. One energy attachment in the wrong spot can mean the end of the game. And also attaching too many energy can mean the end of the game if you walk into Matt using X-Ball with his Mewtwo. This is not over by any means. I'd say Austin is well ahead in this game. He's definitely the one with the advantage here. But overall, it's still going to be close. It's going to depend on a few things here. But all right, we have a Secret Sword. He's actually just going to let that Keldeo EX just sit there and take it. Matt draws a Dark Patch, which is actually pretty annoying, honestly. If he knew he had that, he would have promoted Mewtwo and attached to it, and then Dark Patch to his Darkrai, just to have an extra energy on his Mewtwo. But now that the Darkrai is active, he can't Dark Patch anymore. Let's see. So Moss, he's trying to figure out the math on this thing, and he's saying, I think I gotta do this. I'm gonna catcher your Keldeo. I do think this is the right move. He needs to attach to his Darkrai. I think he has a Dark in his hand. And he needs to get a Dark Claw this turn. If he can do that, he'll hit the active for 110. He'll hit the bench Keldeo that has, let's see, it has 100, or does that have 140? Or it's 130, I think. Yeah, 130. He'll leave it with 10 hit points left, so he needs a Dark Claw here to avoid Pokemon Center messing up his math, I think. Does he draw it? I know he's got an energy. I see plenty of those. But the point is that... Oh, and there's the Dark Claw. He's got it. Wow. Alright, so what he can do is... The Keldeo EX has 130 damage on it. He can hit it up to 160 damage. And what that allows him to do is, even though Austin can heal 20, it will only have 30 hit points left, which is just enough for Night Spear. Now, Matt will hit the active Keldeo for 110. Now, even if that one heals 20, that one is in range to be knocked out by a Night Spear for 110. so he can set up a 4-prize turn even with the Pokemon Center out there. Now, the way Austin can thwart this is with, rushing in with the Keldeo with all the damage on it, and then if Matt doesn't have a catcher, he can only knock out one. But if Matt has a catcher, he can actually still win this game. Even after the Pokemon Center, even after the turn 2 Night Spear, or the turn 2 Secret Sword, the turn 3 second Blastoise, Matt can still win this game with everything going against him. It's just an incredible thing to see. Now, where does Matt remove this energy from? I would assume... Well, that's actually a tough decision. You might actually go from the benched one, and Matt recognizes this too. I gotta commend Moss on playing this extremely well. He recognizes that the only way Austin is going to get out of this spot is if he gets end, doesn't draw his catcher, and then Austin rushes in with that bench Keldeo and attacks with that one. So excellent play from Moss. Now, another way Austin can get out of this is if he has a Tool Scrapper. It would take away the Dark Claw, or something as simple as a potion. Anything that can remove just 10 damage from one of his Keldeo EXs will be the difference in this game. Otherwise, Matt is gonna... I feel like he's gonna steal this game. It just feels like he was supposed to lose this entire time with the Pokemon Center, with everything that Austin's been drawing. But he's actually gonna end up winning in a 4-prize turn. And I'm kind of speechless, honestly. I think Austin is probably realizing this too, like, wait, what? I can lose next turn? No. Well, I did everything. I did everything my deck could ever want to do. And I'm still going to lose? And that is just a scary thing to think about. And then you just kind of realize at this point that, oh boy, maybe this spot isn't as good as I thought it was. Did I do something wrong? Did I overlook something? And no, just Matt is just playing this extremely well, and you gotta hand it to him. I don't know what else to say. It all comes down to, can Austin heal his Pokemon? Can, I don't know. Does Austin have an N? And does Moss have a catcher, honestly? That's the other thing. I couldn't see if Moss had a catcher or not. I think he does, though. So we're going to rush in with this other Keldeo. Austin is probably going to heal. Bench one, and he does. And Secret Sword for 110. And it comes down to this. Does Matt have the catcher? Does he have one more catcher to win the game? If he does, it's just game over. He's playing something. I mean, obviously, if he has the catcher, he would have played it already. I guess he doesn't have it. Wow. But it's still an over. Now it's going to come down to, does Austin have a catcher? Because Matt's just going to retreat to his Mewtwo and X-Ball for the knockout. And man, this is just a crazy game. Matt's going to Pokemon Center his Darkrai. And it's just crazy how close this is. Just one catcher away from a win. That's just kind of the format in a nutshell. Pokemon catcher decides games. If you have your last one, you end up winning. If you don't, you lose a lot of these games. And now it's just Austin's turn. Do I have a catcher? Do I win? He can also get a rare candy and a Blastoise, I suppose. And oh, there's a Juniper. Gotta think there's a catcher in there somewhere, and yeah, there it is. He had 2 left. And Austin Reed, he's gonna move on to 6-0. Well played by both players, honestly. An incredible match. You gotta hand it to both guys. But at the end of the day, Austin will take this one. His Blastoise Keldeo deck will move on to 6-0, and Matt will be 5-1. But still, again, an incredible showing from both guys. And I'm looking forward to seeing how this tournament progresses with these 2 players in it. just a testament to how incredibly competitive this tournament is, with almost 100 players in Masters, some of the best players in the world all gathering together here in Chicago. And when you do that, you get games like these. So, thank you guys for watching. We'll be back with round 7 shortly. We'll have some more great Pokemon TCG action for you. And then we'll also have the top 8 afterwards. So we're going to be here for a while. Stay tuned, guys. We'll be right back.